Tonight. This is a special, special honor for us. We are the Hollywood Valerie. Yeah. Hi. So Laurel and Hardy helped define comedic storytelling, right? How did their influence stay there that you were part of?
Yeah.
Sounds like I'm not doing without my brother.
We were all in some way, but I do remember from my childhood some of these breaks, and they were right up there together than Laurel and Hardy. And actually, I'm telling a story tonight here at the museum about and Hardy's version, Dick Van Dyke. Dick Van Dyke told me the story of this man. He's a very close friend. And I'm so happy to be here. I am. We all need to laugh.
I love that so much. So we, as we're walking through this exhibit, is there a piece or moment that particularly will resonate with you as a performer, do you think?
You know, that's a difficult one. Read it again. To really recall just a group of people or a single person like Buster Keaton that were way up there and made us laugh. It's hard to pick. Certainly I would say Stanley and Hardy. I just remember them. I can't really compare one to another, but I'm just going to say so.
I know you will, and we will. Thank you, Michelle, so much for your time tonight.
There's a lot of great couple of greats. Okay, right. So
Valerie and
she's great.
Hello, Valerie, Judy. Great to meet you. Happy to be here.
So, your family's connection to the era. What does it feel like to see Laurel and Hardy honored?
It's wonderful. It's so unbelievable, to be honest, that they're still celebrating them. And I think my great-grandfather would roll over in his grave if he knew that what he came up with 100 years ago is still actively being watched and appreciated. I think that he would just be over the moon. I know my grandmother always was until she passed away, and for me, it's kind of unbelievable that I even get this opportunity to be here and watch everybody appreciate them.
Do you feel a personal responsibility to help carry forward this kind of Hollywood legacy?
So I was raised in the tents, as we call them, the Appreciation Society of Laurel and Hardy, and it was always my grandmother used to say it's always our responsibility to be the face of Stan Laurel. Babe didn't have any children, so she was like Babe's little niece. So she always told me, we go there, we do these events because it's important for us to continue the legacy. And, you know, people need to be kind and humble. And right now you have to have laughter because this world is very sad. And so I think it's one thing that their comedy is timeless, whether you're 90 years old or 2 years old, you can get together as a family. So it's something that was just embedded as a child, and now my children, that it's important for us to embrace it. I'm very shy, so I don't like being on camera. But my grandma always said, you have to do this, it's important. You know, people love seeing the family, they love hearing the stories about the personal stories. Everybody knows the movies, right? But they don't know the personal stories, and that's what we have and we share with them.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like Hollywood's a lot different nowadays, but I like.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Beautiful.
Joseph of Hollywood. Actually, the ladies from Joseph of Hollywood they have exhibits here. They might even be here tonight.
Wow. Awesome piece.
Awesome.
So, you know, early Hollywood relied heavily on physical storytelling.
Yes.
What do you admire most about Laurel and Hardy's style?
They were part of the template of what comedy is today. I mean, when you think of Laurel and Hardy, when you think of some of the other greats, when you think of comedy as it is today, as it has been legendary throughout the history of Hollywood, you're looking at two of those who really set a lot of the standard of what we know today to be funny. And that's a beautiful thing.
That is. I love them so much. How does this exhibit, or how do you think it will, I know we haven't seen it yet, capture the spirit of classic Hollywood for today's audience?
Well, in the spirit of how the Hollywood Museum does what they do, it's always amazing with actual props, actual costumes, memorabilia from the time. It really takes you to that place where you feel like you're actually being transported back in time. It makes you feel like you're actually getting a piece of what people who lived back in that time actually was all about. Of course, a lot of people met them, knew them, and was able to see them in real time. But today, we can only rely on what's available, and the Hollywood Museum doesn't. No one does it better. So, yeah.
Yes, love it. Madigan is right behind you.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, Rico.
There you go.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yes, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Rico.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Here's the double
Hollywood
D.
Times on this interview. Yes.
Thank you. Look at yours.
Jewelry.
Yes,
Yes. Thank you. Donnell, we're so happy that you've inspired us tonight. So to create this Hollywood Museum, and how has your vision evolved over the years?
Oh, that's pretty good question. I think the most exciting part of all of this is that it actually did happen. The Hollywood Museum, in fact, did open, and this is our 23rd year, if you can imagine such a thing. And we started by appointment only. Then we went to 2 days, then 3 days, then 4 days, and now we're open 5 days a week. Mondays and Tuesdays off for good behavior. And we have tourists coming from all over the world. And I think what's even more exciting for us is that we have locals returning several times a year to see the new exhibits here at
And of all the incredible pieces in this exhibit, from costumes to Stan Laurel's makeup case, what do you think will surprise visitors the most?
Well, I think for me what's so interesting is that there is some fabulous jewelry as well as badges for the police officers and whatnot. And the jewelry, of course, is not real. It's cosmetic, but it's made by Joseph Hardy, one of the premier leading jewelers who made jewelry for all the golden era films, all the greats, Betty Davis, Joan Crawford, Elizabeth Taylor, just keep naming them. For Laurel and Hardy films. And now this company is run by the granddaughter and the great. Oh, it's so interesting because it's all about legacy. That's what the Hollywood Museum is about, to be able to tell the story of Hollywood. It has to do with generation upon generation upon generation. And that's what we love to show everyone to see.
Well, all the people walking on this red carpet tonight can't wait. So we will see you inside. Thank you so much for everything you bring to our family.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Well, obviously a bit before my time, but in England, where I grew up, that's where I was fortunate enough to watch a lot of their, films, and I just thought they were hilarious. I mean, we need comedy like that today.
Big time. So, Alice, comedy has evolved so much. What lessons do you think today's comedians can still learn from Laurel and Hardy?
Well, that everything is on the table. In the UK, I grew up with like Benny Hill and John Cleese and people like that. And, for a little while there, things got a little too sanitized, and everyone was too careful. And I think with comedy, you've got to take risks.
Good one. And so how does being here at this exhibit connect you to the roots of television comedy?
Well, I became known for doing some television comedy with one of the greats, the current great, Chuck Lorre, on The Big Bang Theory. And, it's so funny when I auditioned, I had no clue who he was. I'd never seen Two and a Half Men or anything. But I just had a feeling that I had to get the job, and it was like, you've got to get this job. I don't know why you've got to get this job, but you've got to get this job. And now I'm part of TV comedic history globally, not just in the United States. So that's absolutely wonderful.
So great, Alice. We're the Hollywood Times, Valerie and Judy. Thank you so much for being with us. Have a great time tonight.
So much. Hi, gentlemen. Valerie and Judy of the Hollywood Times. Thanks for being here with us tonight. So, from a historian's perspective, what makes Laurel and Hardy such enduring figures?
All of us can see ourselves what we stand for. And we wanted to make a serious thing. We wanted to make physical love between one another. Even though they were once in a while, never came to a mind. And as Randy said a moment ago, they're comics.
Well, most comedy teams like Hope and Crosby or even Abbott and Costello to some degree are sort of rivals, sort of one against the other. And Laurel and Hardy are two guys united against a very cold, harsh world. And as I always say, we don't just laugh at Laurel and Hardy, we love them because they love each other.
And because of that love, it's like they're family. They're part of our family. You can't say that about Groucho Marx. He's hilarious, but there's no warmth there. Laurel and Hardy, we love them. They love each other, and they're part of our family existence.
I think that's why they appeal so strongly to little kids. I mean, I was 5 years old when I fell in love with Laurel and Hardy because I could relate to them. I related more to Stan than to Ollie, and as I'm growing older, now I relate more to Ollie than to Stan because Ollie's sort of the parent to Stan being the child. But either way, it's a very relatable and very forgiving kind of comedy.
Yeah, so this is going to keep all the generations wanting to watch them, right?
We hope.
Well, we hope so, but we're trying to keep Laurel and Hardy alive in the popular culture. It's not easy. When you talk to people, look how old we are. And so we grew up with them, but we've lost several generations. There's nothing no idea what you're doing. It's not easy celebrating this. But what I always say is, if you can just get eyeballs in front of their films, they're so great.
Start with your name and spell it for them, and then tell me about and in the past few years, we've all been working on Blu-ray restorations of the films. The silent films have just undergone beautiful new restorations on Blu-ray, and several of their best-selling films have just been put into Blu-rays. And they look and sound better than they ever have. So we're hoping that new generations will discover them, and the films look great. They're not full of splices and scratches spots anymore. They look and sound terrific, and so I think that's overcome one barrier, and hopefully we have preserved them in some way for another several generations.
I was showing my 6-year-old son their 1930 short Bratz, where they played little children of themselves. And we were 10 minutes into a 20-minute short when he turned to me. He was so engrossed in the comedy. He turned to me 10 minutes in and said, "Hey, where's the color?" He didn't even notice it was black and white till it was halfway through.
Love that. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you inside.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Really, and a fine kettle of fish have gotten me in. And all those catchphrases that still are operative today. And I do some things with Dick Van Dyke, and he always says that Stan Laurel was absolutely his inspiration for the way that he does his comedy. And the physicalness of it, and, the face that he makes with it. So it has absolutely established a legacy.
As someone who started young in the industry like you, how inspiring is it to see well-preserved pieces of Hollywood history?
I love it. I think I'm pretty well preserved.
Yes, absolutely you are.
I've been around for a while, and I'm doing, it's the 60th anniversary of Family Affair, and I have another book out called Romancing with the Stars, but I'm going to have the book signed at the other museum, Hollywood Heritage, because it's so important to me to preserve the vintage. And for other people to learn from, just as Dick Van Dyke learned from Stan Laurel.
Thank you, Kathy. It's so great to meet you again.
Thank you. Same here.
don't have to speak English to appreciate what they can do. And then secondly, they're the best at what they did. Really, all the comedy teams we loved since then, they kind of like they were the mold and everyone else has followed, whether it's Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis or Lucy and Ethel or Seinfeld and Kramer. That relationship of love and contention in humorous situations, physicality and witty sayings, they started it, and I cannot find anyone who is better.
Well said. Thank you so much, Jeffrey.